All right, as always, let's take a look at where we left off. You can see we have a character walking around. What's really cool though is if we go to Mixamo.com, there's a bunch of really awesome um, additional animations we can add that would make the player movement look more polished. All right, so here I am back at Mixamo, and you can see here's this like him holding kind of a squirt gun or him holding a gun animation, right, that we had added where he's walking forward. Well, you might be wondering, well, why is there a walking backwards, right? So if I double click this, you can see he's walking backwards, left. He's, let's see, he's walking crouched left. And all of these animations, like ideally, if you have an animator who's really good, he can go ahead and create this for you, right? And so like they have stuff. So like all of this adds a lot of polish. It makes your game look very professional. So what we're going to do is just pick out a few of these in a moment, and we'll import those in. So I just want to queue up right now this walking backwards and make sure that I have it in place so that I can come back to this. And what I'm going to do is pause the video, jump back in Unreal, and then we're going to set up something called a blend space to blend between these different animations that we're going to download. All right, so we're back in Unreal. Let's go into Models, Kid, Animations, and let's right click inside of here and then just create a new blend space. So go to Animation here, and then you can see there's an option here for a blend space. And when you click on it, it's asking you to pick which skeleton you want to create the blend space for. And we only have really one character that we're using, which is this kid. So let's double click that. And now we have a new blend space for our kid. So you could go ahead and name this BS for blend space underscore. We should have came up with a name for our kid, but kid. And so there it is. It's our blend space for our kid. I'm going to hit save all and save our blend space. All right, so let's go inside of here and take a look at the interface. Now, what we have here at the bottom where it says none is this is our direction in which our character is going, and this is the speed in which our character is going. So let's expand horizontal axis and vertical axis. And what these do, and that's because it says none here, that's why it's identified as none on our graph, is we can change our animations based on our speed, just like we were doing with our WASD keys, and we could adjust the values in which we want to do this. So let's go ahead and do that. So for the horizontal axis, let's name this direction. You can see it updates down here at the bottom. And then for the vertical, let's go ahead and name this speed. Now for the speed here, we want the this essentially we have our max speed here. We want that to be set to, that's this one down here. Currently it's set to 100, right? We want this set to the same speed that we set it up for the character. So let's go ahead and just dock this for a moment and then again save that. And then let's go back to our kid model up here. Let's see. Blueprint kid, and then our blueprint kid here, or animation blueprint kid here. And let's see. So let's go in here. Character movement. I opened blueprint kid here, and our max walk speed is 1,000 here. So inside of our blueprint speed here, we want to make sure that that matches the same speed. And so we're going to change this to 1,000. And for the minimum axis value, we're going to do minus 180. And our max value is going to be 180. Because it's just sort of the turning radius for our character. All right, so let's grab our idle animation before we import in the other ones from Mixamo and just set that in. So if I dropped it on the graph here, I want this idle animation to essentially be at 0, 0. So you have to kind of click on it. And right now it's set at speed 320. We want our speed to be 0. That means we're not walking at all. And the direction that we're moving could just be 0. So that's kind of like dead center. So it's down here. Now what I'd like to do is, as long as we're not moving, my character is always idling, regardless of the direction that the character is in. So I'm going to drag out another idle over here, select this one, and make sure that this is minus 180. And then for speed is also 0. And then drag one out down here. And this one's also going to be positive 180, and the speed is 0. So now regardless of where I am in that turning radius, my idle will always play. So how do we set up our speed for when we're walking forward? Well, if we are at 0 here, like that's dead center, what I can do is I can just grab my walking forward, drop it on there, and select that. And what we're going to do is our direction would be 0 here. That means we're walking completely forward, and our speed, which would be top speed, would be 1000. And if I hold the command or control key down and I just move around here, you can see I can idle left, right, and then as I idle forward, you can see he starts his walk animation. If I press play, you'll actually see that in action. So he's idling here, and then if I go all the way up here, he's walking. So this adds the blend shapes add like a nice smooth movement to this. We've actually done blend shapes before in another class in Unity, but that had like a slider. And actually, let me pause the video. I have a project open that I can show you with the comparison just to remind you of what we had done before. All right, so here we are back in Unity. And if you had not done this, taken this class or whatever, don't worry. This is just good separate knowledge. I have a character here that loads in. I can walk around with this character. And if we look at this character's animation controller, let's see, it's the with ball locomotion. I can actually grab this blend shape, this speed here. Actually, I need to have the ball here to show you, but based on the speed of this, you see how I'm like switching between these different animations? And that's what we're essentially doing there. But this value is set to 1, for the other one was set to 1000. So just kind of showing you that the concepts are not far off between the different game engines. Let's go back to Unreal. All right, so what I'd like to do now is set up a run left and run right animation so that when we are blending between these and we get to over here or over here, the left or right side of our character, he starts to run left or right. So let's jump back into Mixamo. All right, so what I'm going to do here is type, because I could see rifle, crouch, walk, see if maybe they're all mapped to the word rifle. So rifle left, or just type rifle, see if that only cues in just the rifle animations. So I'm looking for, maybe if we just type rifle left, it'll pop up. Here we go, right run left. Actually, let's get our backwards too here, now that or let's see run backwards maybe. There's a run backwards. Actually, I like this strafe left, but I would like him to sort of turn. Here, run left. It's a much more action-packed. All right, let's just do that. So here's run left in place. If you feel like it's too fast or too slow, you could take the overdrive down or you could take it up. I'm going to go to about 35. I think that's good. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and just download this one, and then I'll pop back in and save the other. Just save it to the same folder that you had the other animations in, and just make sure to save it run left. Maybe kid run left. That way you identify which character in case you have multiple characters. All right, I'm back in. I'm going to do in place here, and I'm going to do 35. I also found run right. So here's my run right. Again, 35. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And same as before, I already saved off a left, but this one, see models here. I'm just going to do kid run right. And just to be clear, I'm downloading also the back, so rifle run back. And that's just like a backwards rifle run. And then we'll do that in place, same thing as before. We'll take the overdrive down to 35. We'll download that. All right, and then what I'm going to do now is jump back in. I'm going to import, just show you how to import one, and then I'm going to pause the video, and then you could import the rest. All right, here we are back in Unreal. Let's go back into our kid folder, our blueprint, not our blueprint, sorry, our model, kid, animations. I'm going to right click in here, import to current folders, And let's go ahead and navigate to the folder on the desktop. All right, so I have my kid backwards rifle, my kid run left, kid run right, and I think that's all the ones I need. I'm gonna go ahead and hit open. And what I wanna do with these files is animations, import only animation here, and then skeletal mesh. We wanna make sure that we are selecting the kid T-pose skeletal mesh so we know that it maps it there. We don't really have to worry about the materials or textures or anything because it knows that we're only importing in just the animation there. Let's check general looks good. And we don't necessarily have to worry about the static mesh. All right, let's go ahead and import. You could see that they popped it in for us, kin backwards, walk forward. All right, so let's save all of this and hit save selected. Now, if we go inside of our blend space, you should see them pop in here. Again, if it doesn't work for you, reach out to me. We'll see what's going on. All right, so let's grab kid run left, drop it on here, and then kid run right. Now the value for this one is going to be the direction because we're on this side and it's only halfway. We're going to do minus 90. And then we're going to take the speed. This is at the top speed, right? 1000, especially if we're using a keyboard. And then the run right is going to be, direction will be 90. And then the speed will also be 1000. So now when I hold, I press play and I hit command or control and I move around here, you can see the character's running left. Or it's kind of like a strafe, and then here's right, and then here's left. Did I grab? Oh, I grabbed the same one. Jeez. Where is my head today? All right, let's grab run left and drop that on there. There we go. Then this would be, there's our character. Yeah, let's see if we can, left, and then this is our character right. Okay, let's make sure that we fix that as well. So that's minus 90. And this speed is 1000. All right, let's save that. All right, now you might be wondering, well, what do we do out here? Well, if we're all the way out here, that means we've already done a full 180. So that's where we want to grab our kid backwards rifle run. Let's drop this one. And remember, this value here is negative 90. So this is going to be 180. And this is going to be 1000 here for speed. That means we're at top speed. Let's grab another kid backwards, drop it up here as far as we could drop it. And this would means that we're at a full 180 for direction and our speed is 1000. Okay, always remember to save. I mean, I found that Unreal to be pretty good so far. It hasn't crashed on me as crazy as the other as it has in the past, but so this would be running backwards, and then here's this way. In the past, it used to crash a lot more on me, but now it's been pretty stable. All right, and to make sure that we're locking down, like when we hit these different points, you know, because sometimes you can get some like a blending in between. Grab a couple more idle animations, and just make sure that this one is at minus 90, and then the speed is 0. So that way it like really blends between these 2 points if we need to. And we'll do the same thing over here, positive. Make sure this one is selected, positive 90. I sometimes forget to select those and then I end up with stacked. So now you can see if I stay towards the bottom, it's still idling. And then if I go up to the top, we're getting nice blends between everything. All right, let's jump back into our animation blueprint here and go to our event graph. And let's start to wire up our animation here. So the first thing we want to do is get the movement direction, because remember we have that up to between negative 180 to 180, and we're playing animations based on that. So we want to use calculate direction for that. And this is going to calculate what direction our character is currently moving in. Let's right click on the return value here and then promote that to a variable. So we have a variable that's storing the direction. All right, so you'll notice here that, let's wire this up too, that there's 2 parameters here. There's velocity and base rotation. And if you recall, we have our velocity here that we're getting. And so let's go ahead and just use that. And that's how quickly we're moving, right? So now we have our velocity or our speed, essentially. Now for base rotation, we need the actor of our kit, the direction of which our kit is going in. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, hit Command C, Command V, move it down here. And then, actually, you know what? Let's just use this one. That way we don't have to wire up a second one. And what we'll do is we'll drag off a wire and get the base rotation here. So let's drag this off and type get actor rotation, which is under transformations here. And we could plug that value into here. And so now we have the actor's rotation and our actor's velocity here. All right, so now that we have this wired up, let's go to our atom graph here and let's hook this up. So you can see we have our kid state machine here, and here's our output result. If we go inside of our kid state machine, we now have what we had is the idle and the walk forward. So let's delete this walk forward. We don't need this. And let's name this, oops, let's go back for a second. And what we want is, instead of idle here, let's rename this to movement. And let's go inside of here. And you'll see we have an idle animation playing, and we don't need that anymore because we have our blend shape here. So if I drag this blend shape out, I can wire the blend shape into here. All right, and let's also go ahead and see we have our direction here. Let's rename this one player direction. And then let's grab our direction node, and don't try not to mix these up because I have my speed up top and my direction on the bottom, and that could easily confuse us. So here's our player speed and here's our direction, and these are kind of backwards in relation. So you can either drag one up and now that lines up, just so you don't just map your direction. So compile and save that. Something else that I did in between videos is double click each one of your animations and make sure that loop is on for all of the walk. So here's this backwards, run left, and I'm just looking through each one of these. Now with these wired up, let's double check our event graph here. I added some print nodes here just to double check a few things in between the videos, but we are setting our player here, and we have we're casting to our kid. We're getting our velocity, the length. We're using it to control our player speed. Same thing, rotation and set. Let's compile and save that. And now when we press play in here, we should be getting our character walking left, right, this way, forward, and back. So that looks pretty good. And I think we ran a little long in this video. I hope you enjoyed this. And in the next lesson, we'll just continue to build on this really cool game.